I would like to invite our Director of Education, Mr. David Thomas, to say a few words.
Thank you. Sure gift to us. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few words, and I know I could be getting in the way of what will be a fabulous opportunity to grow and learn and become a better person. I've had the opportunity to be with the doctors on other occasions, and I think Dr. Olsson, I think you've been at many of our schools, and you're the first name that came to mind when this difficulty was shared with me. That we were hoping that you would be available, and how great it is to have you with us today. And I know the story you will have will go beyond graffiti. It'll be a fascinating story of courage, of perseverance, dignity, and most of all, respect for others and respect for yourself. But let me just give a bit of a backdrop to this for the staff and for the students. About 5 years ago, we had a really crappy incident here at the school. And we have such a rich, beautiful history with our First Nations Mohawk family. In fact, as a Board of Education, we are the envy of all of Canada. In fact, we have a 7-year tuition agreement that's 7 years long, and most of them are a year or 2 years long. And we have 7 years, because that's the maximum you can possibly do. And we have this because over the last 30 years, we have worked so closely to go beyond tolerance to acceptance and to build this great, great story of our work with the First Nations of Turtle Island. I'm very, very proud of it. I myself am very proud of it because of the hours that I put into it, and to watch graduation here, where we know this school enjoys one of the highest graduation rates of Aboriginal students in Canada. See, the Aboriginal rate in Canada is roughly between 30 and 35%, some get up to 40. In this particular community, as I'm talking right now, we have a 67% graduation rate, and we know perfectly well that we can do even better. But to be twice as high as all of Canada says something about the students, but says something about the relationships of the council, with the school board, and the trust that we have with each other. But even with that great relationship, 5 years ago we had a silly situation. We had a couple of our First Nations girls who were not trying to be difficult, were actually trying to be silly, and they came dressed in Halloween in a Ku Klux Klan outfit. It was difficult, and if you were a student, an African American, a person from a black background, it is highly offensive. And what happened was these two girls were just having some fun, and they didn't realize that a mother had dropped her daughter off to school. A very good, solid black mother with a black daughter, and she was deeply offended, and she phoned me. She said, "How can you tolerate this, Mr. Thomas?" I didn't even know the story. I didn't know Halloween, but I didn't know what had happened. And I said, "You're going to have to give me more," and her emotions were strong. And she was angry, and she had a right to be angry. Well, we sat down, we worked with the school staff, we worked with the principal, and we found out who the girls were, we found out what had happened. And they were deeply apologetic. They didn't really understand the nature of what had happened and how it would set people off, but it did. And so I knew at that point my job was to bring healing, but also to bring the message of acceptance, not tolerance, acceptance of all. And that we had to learn in this opportunity to take what was really, really negative and somehow build capacity in our community and become better. I reached out. I spoke to the chief, I spoke to the leaders of their educational program in the island, I spoke with our staff here, and we had a healing service. And some of you may remember that. It was led by our First Nations people, their religious leaders. They came to the school and we had a circle of friends. We created this circle of healing where the family was brought in, and the perpetrators of the act and the victims of the act were treated with dignity and respect, and we all became better that day. In fact, I believe it was an example of us, the school board, going to our First Nations partners saying, ask us to solve a problem. Because we enjoyed such a great relationship, it was solved. Everyone left probably almost a year later and said we were treated with dignity and respect, and everyone learned a valuable lesson. What was horseplay and fun for some was extremely difficult for others, and that we must be responsible not only for our actions, but perhaps even for the unintentional that was supposed to be fun offended others. And we became better, the Upper Canada Board became better, Cornwall became better, our school became better. When I found out about this one several weeks ago, your principal was very upset. And I said, let's use this as an opportunity. I said, I'm not sure if Dr. Olsson will be available, but I know that she has a great heart. She's a wonderful woman. She herself is a healer. Her message is powerful, and it's a message of going beyond tolerance. It's a message of enlightenment. It's a message of us all becoming better. So, as the first teacher of the board, and I'm proud to be a teacher, let me predispose you to some things that perhaps I know that Dr. Olsson will talk about. Because an hour from now, 10 hours from now, 10 days from now, 10 months from now, 10 years from now, I want us to be better because we chose to learn at this difficult time, not to be angry. I'm choosing to learn. And I'm hoping the perpetrator or perpetrators, who's ever doing this, for whatever tension and difficult situation they find themselves in, will reflect on what's going on, and they too will be better as all of us choose to take the higher road and become more enlightened and sharper. Let me give you something I've been thinking about, and I will turn this microphone over quickly. I think we have to choose love rather than hate. I think we have to choose laughter, but not be afraid to cry. I think we have to choose to create rather than destroy. I also believe, and Dino has inspired this with me, is we have to choose to preserve and persevere rather than quit. Now I know you're going to hear about that today. And we also have to choose to heal rather than to continually pick at the wound. We have to come back and choose to be healed and choose to look for healing in others. We have to choose to be generous rather than hoarders of good news and good things. I think we also have to choose to act rather than just sit by. I also believe we have to choose to pray or meditate rather than judge. And I'm suspending my judgment on the people who are doing this, because I hope today that as I suspend my judgment and say, learn with me, that you become better as I become better. I want you to choose courage. And you'll hear about courage today, because courage really defeats fear. And I also want you to choose outrageously to live your life outrageously and enjoy every moment doing the right thing for the right reasons, for the right purpose. And finally, I'm going to give you a quote from Nelson Mandela, who knew a lot about persecution. There is no passion to be found in playing small, settling for a life that is less than you're capable of living. All of you have great futures ahead of you. Take these beautiful seeds that will be planted in your heart today and let them grow. Become the person that you really want to become, and you'll be a very special person that will build capacity in your family. You'll build capacity in this school, this community, and our country. Now, my last bit as a teacher. In bullying, there are 3 ingredients to a bully. And you have to have all 3, and it doesn't work unless you have all 3. First of all, you have to have the bully, who has, for whatever reason, made bad decisions and feels bad about their life or whatever they're going on, and feels that they enjoy some sort of ability by putting you down, it makes them better, we know it. But they also need, the bully needs, a victim. But the bully most of all needs bystanders, needs people to watch. What's happening in the school with the graffiti, the persons may not be bullying. We can't call this sort of putting stuff up around the school, however small or however big or however offensive. Some could say he isn't bullying. I guess it's not. But in this particular case, the person who, or persons who are doing this, one, they're doing it. One, there's a victim, it's us. And two, there's bystanders that perhaps have seen this, who empower the bully by looking the other way, or the graffiti artist, or this person who has some issues. Let's today, with the inspiration that Dr. Olsson will supply us with the honesty of our hearts, with our consciences that are clear that we're going to make the right decisions, let's, as bystanders, and I'm one, not be bystanders. Let's say, not at my school. That's unacceptable. Why are you doing this? Can I help you? Now, you may not feel that you have the strength and courage to do that. It's amazing who will do it. But find someone who will, as a bystander, stop this stuff. And finally, I'll tell you how it's easy to be a bystander, to be a strong bystander. In several of our schools, there are safe schools committees and things that are going on. We have our doors locked because they're supposed to be. And I have a master key that gets me into allegedly every school in the system. It works in this school. I get into the side door very quickly. But one day, I was going in one of our schools, North Grenville District High School. And I opened up the back door and ran through to get to the office to meet the principal. Didn't walk around the front door. Well, I'm the director. I'm the boss of all the schools. And this young girl, 12-year-old grade 7 student, said, "Excuse me, sir, all guests report to the office." So this little girl, and I'm the boss, I opened up the door and said, "No, sir, all guests report to the office." And then she walked on her way. And you know something was really powerful about this little girl? She had strength that I didn't understand. And what happened was, I walked out the door, walked around the building, and went in the front door. You see, the bystander with courage and grace and dignity will just do the right thing, the right reason. This little girl knew the values of the school, knew what the school stood for, and she let me know what they're all about. I can imagine any one of us would have had that story. I look down at you, and I agree. I'm very, very proud of you. This is a special place. And today, we're going to make it even better.